So, welcome to my first episode of Morning Coffee with Professor Alex. Why am I doing this? Honestly, this is my first sip of coffee for the morning. Hold on. Oh, it's damn good coffee. I'm doing this very simple. There's a lot of things, right? If you've been following me on my YouTube videos and been watching and reading bankruptcy.blog, you realize everything I talk about is either bankruptcy related news, personal finances, and of course, bankruptcy. And I tie that all in sometimes to what's going on in the economy, what's going on in the news, especially now with President Trump and tariffs and everything else. So the problem is there's just too much to do, right? I just can't focus on every subject. So I have to, filter everything out, pick out what I think I really need to focus on, which may impact us the most, make a video, make a blog, and then move on. The problem is because there's so much, there's a bunch of little things that sneak in through the crack that I don't get to do, and I wish I had more time to do it. But that's where the morning coffee gig comes in. I'm literally having my morning coffee. This is how I drink coffee in the morning. My hair's still wet from the shower that I took. I can't make more videos, so my wife and I were talking about it yesterday, and I told her, well, I can do something while I'm having coffee because typically what I do now is I work for a few hours, feed the pets, work out, and then continue working everything else. And of course, if I'm going to make a video, I have to have certain lighting, certain clothing, etc. And so I'm like, I'm not going to change my routine. This is my routine. I have coffee in the morning. I start working. Now the thing is, the work is going to change a little bit. So we're going to go over subjects every morning. It's going to change. It's all going to be finance related. Like I said, personal finances, bankruptcy related news, the Trump economy. It's going to go all that. The only difference is you're stuck watching me sometimes in a robe, sometimes in pajamas. I guess I have to buy pajamas now. Some of my shirts have holes in them, right? Like most of us. But some coffee too. I love coffee, right? I wouldn't make it throughout the day without coffee. Now, let's get into today's subject. And this is a subject because, again, I probably wouldn't focus on it too much in the blog. It would just take up too much time. But yesterday, I had posted a screenshot regarding an article from Reuters where President Trump is now going after the unions at the federal level. Now, for example, I don't remember the time frame. I believe it was Social Security or at least one of their divisions that they just reached a bargaining agreement where they didn't necessarily have to rush to work. They were allowed to work X amount of time remotely. I know I read it a couple months ago. So, what is the big deal about this issue? Another executive order where Trump is literally making it up along as he goes. What did he do this time? Well, this time he decided that agreements that were made, I'm grabbing my phone because I'm going to look at the screenshot. Agreements that were made within 30 days of the inauguration. Let me stop right there. Let me read to you the title. Trump moves to cancel recent union agreements with federal workers. Now, I said before the inauguration, common sense is here. You become president when you put your hand on the Bible. I know Trump didn't put his hand on the Bible. Whatever. And at that point, you're a president. You go ahead and do what you got to do, right? He's saying 30 days before that, just an arbitrary number, picked it up out of the sky. 30 days before that, he's going to invalidate those agreements. You don't need to go to law school for that one. Obviously, that's not valid, right? What's his legal theory? It's the legal theory of a 5-year-old. Mm-hmm. This is what he wrote. The prior administration had entered into certain agreements with federal workers to make him look bad. Let me back up here. Any president, any job where you replace another person, your whole job is to make that other person look bad. And that's why you're the one that was hired because you did such a good job and you're doing such a good job. That's why we had to get rid of the other person. That's his legal argument. They're making me look bad. Okay, that one's not going to fly. But what's my issue with that? My issue is, again, this creates chaos. And I've had a consistent theme over the last month now, ever since Trump took over office, where chaos creates financial instability. Financial instability is going to be created by the political chaos that he is making. So think about it. There's chaos. We don't know, is there a union? What happened to the federal funding? He's been sending out emails like a spammer saying, quit your jobs. All that chaos creates political instability, which results in financial instability. So it's going to affect you one way or another. Now, this issue with unions, I've posted a few times on social media that when I developed a business law course, I decided to include unions. And why? This goes out to the younger folks. Everything I talk about is not age related. It encompasses every, every age group. Whether you're in too much debt or how to get out of debt, how to, avoid debt. So I'm going to hit all the age groups when I do all my topics. This one goes out to the younger ones. Now, when I did this, I keep telling the course every time I do when I do my seminars, I tell my students, I probably would never have discussed unions 10 years ago. It's like they didn't exist. My entire generation, I'll be 53, today the first, yeah, I'll be 53 next month or this month. It's like they don't exist. It existed for a time, and then it seems we skipped two generations, right? Where unions just nobody talks about them. There's certain unions, of course, the teachers union, police union, firefighters union, the big ones. But all these other unions for, let's say non-government positions, let's say in the private sector, just doesn't exist. So what happened? Well, the younger generation stepped in. That's it. That's the only difference. The younger generation, you guys have a different perspective. You view things differently. Everything from, why are we working so hard to buy a McMansion? Do we really need this? It's a different perspective, different age, right? That is normal. But with that, even talk about maternity leave. These are things that were not discussed when I was, in my 20s or 30s. Nobody mentioned that. But if you think about it, I saw this with Starbucks, Amazons, and I saw them fighting to get their rights. And in some sections of the country, some states, some areas have been able to create unions. Why don't employers want unions? Because they don't want to give you rights. All right, shut up, do your work. You're lucky you even have a job. Be grateful. That's honestly what it comes down to. I like to read between the lines, and that's what's happening. But with unions, you have rights, whether it's shorter work weeks, whether it's certain benefits, maternity leave, insurance. Think about insurance and the skyrocket, how much the skyrocketing of medical costs. The top reasons people file for bankruptcy is not people are buying Rolexes, is because of medical bills. So they try to control you. It's really that simple. And the way they do that is by not giving you certain rights, unions. So I talk about those now in my classes. And so I am glad to see this younger generation to get organized, start getting those unions, start protecting your rights, whether it's shorter work weeks, maternity leave, insurance, I don't care what it is, 401ks, whatever you need to do to prepare yourself financially. All right. So, like I said, I'll be talking about certain subjects that won't make it to the blog. So, this is my first one of coffee in the morning with me, right? Hold on. But I felt it was important to talk about this. And I saw this yesterday. Once I saw that and I posted that screenshot, I said, I have to talk about unions because I just what we're seeing now, all this political instability, which will affect you one way or another financially. Go read my blogs. You can see how I tie this all in together. Watch my videos because it will. And one example is the tariffs. At the same time, this issue came out with the unions. What happened? 25% tariff to Canada, 10% tariff to Mexico. If you think, if you think that's not going to affect you, then you haven't been paying attention. It will. If your answer is you're not going to buy a car, great. If you're going to buy a house in the northern part of the United States, guess where we get our lumber from? Canada. So one way or another, this affects you. If you believe it doesn't, somehow it will. It will mean less money coming into maybe your town, into your city, maybe into your own household because certain people lost their income or lost their jobs. A large percentage, I remember going back to the mortgage foreclosure crisis, somehow we can tie almost 30% of money that flows through our country through the auto industry. So think about that. I mean, an auto, what does it have? Whether it's the metal, whether it's the steel, the plastics, the electronics, all of that is tied in together. It is a huge impact on our economy. So what do I keep saying? Be prepared. Realize what's going on out there, analyze your own situation, and just go with it. All right. So I am done with my first episode. I promised you it would just be a quick one, right? So I got to finish my cup of coffee. I hope you enjoy your cup of coffee, and let's see what I talk about tomorrow. Take care, everybody, and I will see you tomorrow morning.